All right, man. Let's get into some nerdy fun, man. We're excited to talk about this. Finally, this is your official Friggin Nerds Media Wakanda Forever review. So if you guys haven't seen the movie yet, first of all, what's wrong with you? Why are you here? Go watch the movie. But if you guys have seen it, get ready, man. We're going to spoil this movie and talk about it in full length.
Wait, we're doing spoilers?
Spoilers. We all saw the movie. You saw it, right?
No.
Oh, yeah?
I gotta go.
Lee? What? Lee? She didn't see it. I was like, wait a second.
Oh, what a rib. What a rib.
Got you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. But anyways, guys, let's go through a couple of fun things here. Rotten Tomatoes gave this a certified fresh with 84%, but the audience toppled it with a whopping 95%. Box office, we were talking about this last week. I think we got a winner here for our predictions here. Box office, domestic of 180 million, worldwide
I was
330.
so close.
What did you get? 183?
Me?
Yeah.
I did the 300.
Oh, he was 300.
300. And I realized the article.
Way off.
Yeah, I realized the article I was referencing. It was talking about the worldwide numbers. But however, I just doubled down on it anyway. I was like, screw it, I'm just going.
That's
Whatever.
right.
Yep.
Well, worldwide, you killed it, Mike. You got it right in the nose.
I know.
330. But yes, a whopping 180 domestic over the weekend. We had a Twitter poll earlier today where we asked what you guys saw of the movie. 64% said it was amazing. 21.4% said pretty good. And that's all I got for you.
There was a couple others that were, one of them, there was one vote for terrible and the other one was meh. So
Monster voted terrible.
I gotta admit it was me because there was no Dr. Doom in this movie, for God's sakes. No, I'm kidding.
My God, you sound like our kid. It was probably Micah that put that.
We'll get into that, man. But of course, it can't be a review without the rest of the hosts weighing in on what they thought. So each host, we're going to go through the following topics relating to this film: what worked, what didn't work, favorite moment, and biggest question. So we'll start with what worked. We'll go around the horn here. Who wants to start?
There was, I guess I'll start.
You've chosen to start.
Yeah. There was a lot that worked really well with this. And again, spoiler alert, if you have not seen this and you don't want to be spoiled, you may just want to fast forward like 10 minutes or so. I think what worked was how they handled Chadwick in this. I felt like they did it incredibly respectfully. At the very beginning, the Marvel logo was a moment of silence with all of his clips. Thought that was amazing. The only thing that we didn't like about that was a guy had his phone on in the movie theater when that was happening, and it started to ring during that, which was great.
At that point, you should be like, oh my gosh, cannot believe I left my phone on and silenced it. But he didn't. And his phone rang, I kid you not, 4 more times during the movie.
Yes.
I was so mad until someone eventually started yelling at him.
I felt like the acting was phenomenal. I felt like the writing, the storyline was pretty good. I loved the mid-credit scene, or I guess the end credit, the only one they had. Mainly because they now still have T'Challa in the MCU. They do not have to recast him. You know, it's T'Challa Jr. and eventually we could have T'Challa wearing the Black Panther mantle again, which I thought was so well done. I thought that was really
cool.
Looked
just like him.
I know.
Loved it.
I know
crazy.
he did. I know. There was a lot of things that really worked well in this movie. So I'll let you guys keep talking because I don't want to take it all up. Britt?
Well, dude, I loved Namor. Oh, I loved Namor so much. I the only thing that I was like a little like I like that you guys tried to get creative with where Namor came from. But I'm like, I mean, that doesn't really translate like that, but that's cool. Whatever.
Oh, his name?
Yeah. I was like, okay, you tried, but that was cool. And I loved seeing Talakon I wish we saw more Talcon.
Same.
I loved that in the last movie, you didn't really get to see Wakanda. We only saw like the grounds where they fight, and then the throne room and her lab. And so this one was the first time that we got to see any of Wakanda, and it was so cool. I was like, oh gosh, more of that. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I really loved. The freaking love that Rihanna song at the end. I've listened to
yes.
it like on repeat. It was so good.
Yep.
And it was so perfect in like those end credits. Oh, that one killed me. Anyways.
Yep.
That's such a good song.
James.
Yeah.
What worked for you?
A lot. I have this rated very high. I will say, if I had to just pick one, just piggybacking off of Brit, was Namor, because I was worried. And with his different background from the comics, Namor is kind of a jerk. He knows more than he actually thinks he does, but he's been doing it long enough and he's lived long enough where he can have that type of mentality. So to see the change in the character and how it's portrayed, I fell in love with this interpretation, with him being more so humble and kind of just like, yo, we need you guys' help. Like, yo, they're coming down here. Like, we should band up. And from a personal perspective, seeing both of the nations that have brown people being the most powerful on earth, that was just insane for me.
Yeah,
and I was just like, yo, let's go. So that was clutch, because that first scene where, yo, Angela Bassett, Ramonda, yeah,
Oh,
yo, Queen slayed it.
amazing.
The very first scene, we hear your whispers and stuff, and then them jokers brought in them cats and stuff. Yeah, but Angela Bassett and Namor, Ramonda, like, yo, it's everybody killed it. But yeah, I hope she gets nominated for Best Supporting Actress role for sure.
Yeah, she needs to, for sure.
Yeah.
Lee, what was your favorite?
Okay, so aside from everything that's already been mentioned, because I don't want to beat a dead horse, Shuri. Can we talk about Shuri for a second? Because the character development there, from even the first movie to this movie, was absolutely amazing. Like, actually seeing her grow as a character and mature. I love the little throwback moment that they have with M'Baku, where she says, so how is that for a child who, scoffs at tradition or whatever it is? Like, the moment that they have together about that, I was
That
like,
callback, yeah.
I was dying. I just think that they really handled the transition beautifully. Like everyone was saying, with Chadwick being gone. And I really felt like the whole movie was just a tribute to him and his legacy. And I thought that was like super powerful and super beautiful, considering they were able to carry on this story from, from what he started it as to now. So I just loved the whole thing. Just loved it.
I liked too, to build on to that too. I liked too that Shuri, it wasn't just like, oh, my brother was Black Panther, so I'm just gonna take up the mantle. Like, she didn't want to.
Yeah.
But then when Angela Bassett's character died, like, that's what pushed her to that point of saying, like, I have to be to protect my people now. And so I think that was cool to see, like you're saying, Lee, that character development of her just being stuck in the lab, face down, not like wanting to get into her emotions or anything, to that last scene where she's on the beach was perfect. It was so well done.
I have to say too, like, a lot of times from my personal experience, I feel like the best leaders have been the people that didn't want to lead, that felt called to by some force later, but that didn't initially want that for themselves. So I think that says a lot too about her character. in
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
she, she really had to get to a place where she could accept that gracefully and sort of take that on as her own. So,
Yep.
super great.
Mario, what worked for you?
So yeah, I mean, a mixture of all of that, and let's see, because I'm really like I really want the script to come out of what the movie would have been if Chadwick was still around, if we went on with Black Panther still being alive, because that would be, okay, I really want to see that confrontation, but this really worked for me, and it's tons of ways where it's like great tribute to him. You're developing all these great characters that didn't really get that much attention in the first film. Namor is probably one of my top villains in the MCU.
Facts.
Like, he was fantastic. I think me and Lee talked about like just seeing his city and just seeing like a more realistic like underwater city. It's not Atlantis like Aquaman, you know what I mean? It just seemed
Right.
more realistic, and you really felt for him, like when they were talking the first time, and like he's kind of convincing, I gotta kill the scientist, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, kill Riri, you should. I was
Seriously.
sold. I was
Seriously.
like, damn, like just fantastic. Yeah, it really is good. We'll talk about rankings after, but like this was really is high on my list for this phase and for MCU movies in general. I think this was the first one I was like really dialed into and like had that perfect balance of, we talk about humor in the MCU, we talk about drama in the MCU. It was like the first real one since, because now I'm on a Black Panther kick, so I've been watching like all the Panther movies. I watched Civil War recently, and I dipped into even like he's not in it, but like Winter Soldier stuff, like the more serious side of the MCU,
geopolitical stuff.
Yeah, so it's like a lot more balanced. And I want to see this more. I think we got to see more Val finally. We can finally piggyback on some more ideas about what the Thunderbolts are going to be. I like that. There's still kind of threat of the issue with vibranium and stuff in the MCU. I think it's gonna really pave the way for a really bright future. And but yeah, I just think fantastic. I teared up at the end. I teared up about 3 times watching this movie. This is fantastic, and I can't wait to go watch it again.
Yep. Yeah, I all agreed on all of that. So let's go around the cameras here on what didn't work. And I guess I'll start off. So there isn't hardly anything that didn't work for me. Like it's the exact opposite of the last one. The only thing for me that didn't work was the connective tissue with everything going on in the MCU as a whole right now. We talked about it on the predictions. There's still a freaking giant celestial sticking out of the ocean, and it is still just it's only been a sidebar headline on real quick Easter egg hunt in She-Hulk, and this seemed like it would have been the perfect time to just literally mention how that may have disturbed Namor's kingdom in the ocean. But that's really because the entire movie was very siloed, except for Val. Val was the only kind of outside of this storyline connection with the other stuff going on in the current MCU storylines. I don't think it's a bad thing at all, but it's tough though when we've now reached the end of this time period 4, and we don't have much of the connection happening. And I know that's been a common like complaint with this time period of MCU, but it's tough when like the other time periods I can't say a word, sorry. The other time periods have all ended with like an Avengers, like everybody, it all ties together sort of at the end of each of those. And this one still just seems like we're in the middle of it. And because of the fact that they have moved the ending and the beginning of these different time periods just recently, it feels like they have just made a decision to say, oh, we should probably just like get another
Start
grouping
here.
of movies to start time period 5 now.
Yep.
That's my only like huge complaint is that I wish that there was a little bit. There's a freaking multiversal timeline collapse, and it has barely been touched on all of these projects. There's been like Loki, No Way Home, and Doctor Strange.
What if?
And What If? What If is you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. But those 3 like major productions are the only 3 that are talking about something as big as a universe collapsing. And then we've got these kind of like pocket stories happening. And it's weird that hasn't bled into anything else other than those 3 movies.
And remember, Feige said it will all make sense.
Yeah. I have all faith in Feige. Like of the 5 of us, I feel like I'm the one that's most optimistic about trusting in Feige's direction.
I trust in Feige's direction. I'm just concerned about how. I'm concerned that Feige isn't as in control anymore as I would like him to be. So like I could trust Feige all day, but if he's not the one that's steering the ship anymore, then it doesn't matter.
I guess in the other time periods, there's been a nice like sprinkle of stuff to remind you that things are happening. You know, Thanos would show up in an end credit scene, and you'd be like, "Oh shit, I forgot Thanos is kind of the big thing here." And this one, I feel like they're taking their time to set up these new characters, to set up these new versions of the old Avengers. You know, the different variations now, and I feel like that's been the focus, and that's fine. But I'm really anxious to see like the connective tissue like payoff, you know? So other than that, like that was the big thing for me. I wish there was some sort of connection to some of the other major storylines going on. That took a while. I'm sorry, guys. Britt?
I mean, there's not much. This isn't really something that didn't work, but maybe just something I wanted more of. Is I wanted to see more of Telecon, and I wanted to see more of Wakanda. I would love to see a mini series done where I can just spend time there. I just want to look at it. I just I just want to watch it. I want to see what it looks like. It's like you guys with like your Star Wars worlds. Like you guys have gotten to explore these places, and like Wakanda and Telecon are so freaking cool. Like I just want a series so that I could just look at it. Can I just hang out there? It's just they're so imaginative, and I just want to see what they look like. Like we've seen New York, man. It's freaking New York. I can get on a plane and go to New York. I don't want to go there. Take me under the ocean. That would be way cooler.
That would be.
So that, and then really the only other thing that I would have liked to see is you know, I think I asked you in the car, like, who's the real villain of this? And I feel like the United States, or really the major world governing powers, are the villains here. And it took me a while to find the quote, and I finally found it. But there was like the moment where Angela is like, man, she's so freaking badass, and she like looks at them and said, "You perform civility here, but we know what you whisper in your halls of leadership and in your military facilities." I would love to have just like, I know that like we couldn't work together this time with Namor, but like I just wanted a little taste of like them getting ready to like lay siege to the government and be like, you guys are gonna regret this.
I have a feeling that may be coming. There's a lot of Thunderbolt stuff that could be leading to that. I just want to see them just
like put those people in their place. You're not, I'm not obligated to give you any of this shit. I want to see them I want to see them give them a humbling moment. Little slice of humble pie. But really, I mean, those aren't really things that didn't work so much as I'm just like,
you wish there was
I could see this.
All right, James, what didn't work for you?
Honestly, the side plots, and it wasn't really a side plot, but they kind of Riri and the Val stuff, it really didn't work for me. And here's why. It felt the if you remember the very beginning of the movie, and then we got to Riri Williams and the vibranium and vibranium detector and all this other stuff. Those parts felt like it was setting up something else. We know Ironheart changed from a TV show to a movie. We know Secret Invasion's coming, and Ross is part of it, and he's on the run. There's a lot of stuff we know in the background, and it kind of felt shoehorned in because the best parts were Talokan and Wakanda, not so much this plot line that Riri's the only one who made a vibranium undetectable detector or something, and we're after her and everybody's after her. It didn't feel like two world powers coming after each other. It just kind of felt like a MacGuffin a little bit. She felt like a MacGuffin to me personally. So from a story beat, I did not like that. And honestly, I didn't like that we didn't get an answer to what happened to T'Challa. I know I know in the background why they didn't, because his actual illness, Chadwick Boseman, was secret until he passed away. And so I guess they're kind of harping on that beat, I guess.
Yeah.
But narratively speaking, this dude has the heart-shaped herb in him. He's the Black Panther. What in his DNA killed him? I feel like we were robbed of something that could have been more real, instead of just the movie relied on us knowing about the actor and being gone, and kind of went through it faster than I would have hoped. So,
well, and there was even a line from Shuri that talked about how he was battling in silence and stuff without asking for help. And it hit me, man. When she said that, I was like, oh, because like that's what Chadwick did in real life. Nobody knew. And so I think they were just, trying to be as respectful there, but also at the same time, it could have been like a story, like a plot build, like could it have been like a mutation that like counteracted against the heart-shaped herb or something like that. It
would have been cool, because then, especially if it had something to do with everybody being the blip being brought back, so then you're like, there's this panic globally. What's happened? Like the king of Wakanda has died from this thing or something. Again, just from a narrative standpoint, I think we might have been robbed of something that could have been cool.
Yep.
What about you, Lee?
I can build off of that actually, because my point had to do with I said to Mario when we got home, I feel like there were some holes with the heart-shaped herb like plot device, because if you remember, like when they're on the bridge and they're fighting against Namor's people,
that's
like
a good scene.
They like knock them down and they pop right back up, and I was like, okay, interesting, but okay, so like these guys are what, indestructible? Like I didn't understand that, how like they couldn't be killed there, but then like flash forward a couple, like an hour later or whatever into the movie, and here we are like killing this other woman, and she's dead, and there's nothing that Namor can do to help her. So like I felt like there wasn't enough explanation about like how the heart-shaped herb affected, or like how the herb that these people took was different from
vibranium thing.
the vibranium rich soil plant that they took was different from the heart-shaped herb, and like what exactly it did. Like we know that it killed them, just like it does, when the Black Panther takes the heart-shaped herb and then brings them back, and they're like, superhuman and they can live underwater and all of this, but they didn't really get into that. So I wanted more like to really clarify, like what are we looking at here? You know what I mean?
Well, and if you take out the Riri and the Ross and Val sidebars, you may have had more time to
do that.
explore those things, if that's what we all wanted. I just feel like the Riri thing was there because they needed a place to insert her.
And they're building towards Val being Thunderbolt's leader, and so they had to sprinkle that a little bit. So
What about you, Mario?
Yeah, I think on that too. Thank you. Yeah, same thing with that. Like, I'll be real with you. I forgot Riri was in the movie half the time. Where I'm like, wow. Like, yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. She's in this. I'm like, and she's like a big plot point for some reason. So yeah, like, not to repeat myself, but yeah, like I just felt like that was just not needed, and just have her show up in, like, Armor Wars or something like that. But other than
Yeah.
that, nothing else really hit me that hard. That suit is trash. Her her suit at the
Hey,
end.
sure.
She
Oh
she
my
didn't get to
God.
keep it though. She didn't get to keep it.
Which I
So
was like,
so I'm
good.
hoping. Okay, cool. So she's gonna make a Mark III version of Ironheart, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
closer to Stark's design and stuff.
It's a
Yeah.
little, it's a little
Well,
big.
that's a thing
Yeah.
too. I'm like curious if like does she have any kind of access to Stark tech? Because we see the
Oh yeah, go ahead. I think you're about to say what I was gonna say.
yeah, because I always see the blueprints for a second in her garage, and just rewatching Civil War, Tony talks at MIT.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so I'm assuming she has one of these grants that, like,
Right, right,
or whatever,
right,
or
right.
did she talk to
She's
Tony?
getting funding, yeah.
And and we have all this talk of, I'm trying to think, like, with Val. I'm assuming she's in connection with who took Tony's stuff in No Way Home.
Mm.
So I'm wondering
Oh.
Probably.
if Ironheart and Val kind of meet, and it's kind of like, hey, we saw what you did, blah blah blah. Let's put together a better suit, and like they use this, like Val gives her Stark stuff to Riri, and that's how we get like a proper Ironheart. But I
Well, we know that Val has like the shield and stuff, right? For Crab Cap, like she kind of has access to these weapons that the previous heroes had access to. So yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I think that she could be kind of supplying Riri some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cause I'm curious to see, like, like, again, the vibranium war isn't really over, so I wonder if she's gonna like get her hands on more, and maybe like we get a full vibranium suit, Ironheart, and maybe she's like, maybe Val gets her hands on some stuff and makes Red Guardian a vibranium shield and all that, and see where that connection is.
Well, and that could totally lead to Armor Wars too, which could be why that got pushed back.
Yep.
Y'all, I was waiting the whole time that she got the bracelet. She's like analyzing the, like the contents. I'm like, it's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. She's gonna be like, oh gosh, look at that. It's not vibranium after all. It's adamantium. I was like, it's gonna happen. And then it never happened. Especially when he used the word mutant earlier in the movie. I was like, adamantium's coming. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And it didn't.
That's right. Yeah, that got a big pop for me when he said, like, I was a mutant. And I was like, they're planting seeds. They're teasing. They're putting it right in our face, and then not showing us anything. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that was my only gripe, was like just some of the Riri stuff, and that suit was god awful because like just gross.
Follow up to the Riri and the suit stuff. What did you guys think of the Midnight Angels? Is that what they called Shuri's new stuff? Because their suits,
they look like praying mantises.
Their suits looked very similar though to Ironheart's. Like it looked similar to Riri's, just blue.
I don't see
look like the Predator.
Yeah, I mean they look like the same concept.
I didn't like it.
I think it's cool that they're in the comics.
They're canon, yeah.
But so I think it's cool that they're bringing them in, the elite force of the Dora Milaje. But I don't think it was necessary. Like, I don't know. I thought it was strange to have those two come in as the Midnight Angels, and then also Ironheart, and so you have this like really like tribal Wakandan army, and then you've got these really advanced suits flying around them and stuff, and so it felt just kind of weird. But honestly, I mean, I thought it worked enough for me to be like, okay, that's fine. But
it didn't take it out the movie,
right? Real quick on the last two bullets, favorite moments. My favorite moments. The biggest pop for me in Mario's terms was when Shuri visited the ancestral realm, and Mr.
Oh.
Killmonger himself was
Yeah.
in that chair. Was not expecting that at all.
No, I was expecting Killmonger to be in it, but not in that way.
No,
Yeah,
it was not even anywhere close to my mind that she would see Killmonger there.
Yeah.
And like the way that he delivered his like mythology to Shuri was so awesome. So definitely dug Killmonger popping up in that scene.
What about you, Britt?
Real quick, I want
Oh.
to say one more thing. Also that Namor didn't get killed in this.
Yeah.
I got really nervous there when she was standing over him.
Awesome.
My favorite, only because I'm a nerd, was when they brought up the whole Kukulkan, and they had the like the thing like this when
Yeah,
they would like salute
like the
him or
salute,
bow
yeah.
to him or whatever. Yeah, but because the Kukulkan thing is like, I love it. I
Yeah.
just watched another documentary about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, I love all of the ways that they're incorporating real world mythology into
Yeah.
the MCU. Yeah.
Agreed.
James?
The what is it? The United Nations scene. That that just set the tone for me. It's good to see great acting and storytelling just within one snippet. That's more than I've seen in the past 2 movies from the MCU, in my opinion. And yeah, it set the tone better than the initial one where we witnessed Black Panther, T'Challa dying. That set the tone. So yeah, that was a standout in the bridge scene for sure.
The bridge scene was great.
Lee,
favorite moment.
Sorry. I would have to say seeing the whole underwater world. That whole, like, you know, seeing an aspect of the MCU that we haven't seen before was really exciting for me, I have to say. And I think also seeing like the interactions between characters that we haven't seen, like the Ross interactions with, like, you know, like him being familiar now, and like just the way that characters play off of each other, you know, now that Chadwick's no longer there, and like the way that the whole story progressed and the characters sort of came together, and like a nice puzzle.
What about you, Mario?
So I have a ton, but I think for sure that that mid-credit scene, I thought that was just like tugged on
Were
the
y'all
hearts.
expecting that? I was not expecting
Not at all,
Uh-uh.
because I think, you know, we had a discussion about, like, you know, we kind of disagree with, you know, not, you know, recasting Chadwick, and this is kind of a brilliant way to kind of get both, where you're paying tribute to the man in more ways than one, and we have the potential to have a T'Challa Black Panther in the future. I know we're setting up we already had enough young kids joining the Avengers as it is, but I think this is a cool way to bring that back, because like we talked about it before, you know, not many films. If you go on Disney Plus and you look at, like, you know, movies featuring Black Panther, it's like, what, 5 movies, 4 movies, and like What If, you know, it's like we didn't get enough Black Panther. So that's why I kind of was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like this new Black Panther. I think, you know, that's, you know, it was awesome to see, you know, Shuri finally confirmed she is the new Black Panther, but I would like to see, you know, T'Challa. That's the one I read when I was a kid, you know, that's the character I know. So I, you know, it's like, you can't, like, if it's happened to Spider-Man, people wouldn't have it. You know, I could kill, you know, if the actor for Peter Parker dies in the first movie, you're gonna have bring in Miles right away. You know, no, we want to see Peter for a bit. So I think that last scene was brilliant, emotional. Again, like James said, the kid looks just like Chadwick. I think even Lee
it's nuts.
Is that actually Chadwick's son? I think she said at one point, and I was kind of like, I was like, no, but I think they're playing as his son, but he looked just like him. So yeah, that was my big moment.
Nice. Biggest questions, just round the room. What by the end of this, my biggest question is, who is the better villain, Killmonger or Namor?
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Because
Coogler
those
brought
are
us
like
two of the best.
Those are like
villains
two of the best. Yeah, I know.
in
It's
two
just
movies.
crazy.
Yeah. Legit. Killmonger still. I don't know. I'm not. I'm just going to shut up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I
don't
gotta
know.
lean towards Namor. Unfortunately, I love Michael B. Jordan. I love Killmonger.
But yo,
Killmonger
Namor
is the better
Like
realistic villain.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
just it's real.
Yeah,
And Killmonger really he like started conversations about very real things. Namor is what takes you into the fantastical world
Yeah.
that
well
is
said.
far away from here. Which
He
is
took down
what I-
Wakanda by himself, and then allowed them to grieve their
and
wounded.
he makes flying ankles look cool.
Yo, he was
Which is
going
hard.
to work.
That's hard to do.
Yes,
Not
he was
everybody can
going
rock
to work.
like ankle wings.
yeah. Because
Oh
like
my
when you first
God.
see his character design, you're like, man, how are they gonna do this in a movie? But
Corny.
dude,
Yeah.
he was kicking ass, man. It was
Yeah.
so awesome.
He made me
Yeah.
want to go buy a pair of green shorts after that. I was like, he made those green shorts
Facts.
look tough. I was like, this guy
Facts.
is the best.
I need the drip. I need the nose
Yep.
ring. I need everything.
Yep,
Facts.
yep.
Yes.
I would say quickly, biggest question is M'Baku. Is he carrying on the mantle now as Black Panther? Did Shuri give it up? Like, what's the deal now? So yeah, I would like to find that out in the future.
That was maybe one of the other things I should have brought up with what didn't work is like he was not in this much at
Yeah.
all.
He
M'Baku
stole
wasn't.
every scene he was in.
Every
man.
scene. It was awesome.
He's on the top of my special
But
cup.
we
that
did
paid
get
a
his
fortune
character
for.
on the $10 cup that we got. Yeah.
Nice.
I thought at the end that he wanted to lead and be king, but not necessarily
Black Panther.
Black
Right.
Panther.
Right.
Yeah, I
That's
think-
kind of how I read
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I think that's kind of how I read it too, but no, it's a good question because it's not answered yet. You know,
No,
we'll see.
not at
We'll see
all.
where they go from that.
Mm.
Anything
Mario
else that we
Lee?
want to talk about, like before we
Move
jump in?
forward.
I'm excited about future Black Panther stuff, man. I think it's super exciting. Again, I think this is one of the best MCU movies of this year, and maybe of all time. I think this is definitely going to be in my top 10 for sure.
Real quick around the cameras, rating out of 10 nerdies. What would you?
9?
9?
Mm.
I think I would do. I wish I could remember like the other ones to put like in context of where this
Yeah.
would be because it has to be above them all.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite of this time frame. Time frame 4. So
good.
9.5, I guess.
Yeah, 8.5 or 9. I went down for my initial rating because I started remembering the Riri stuff and the shoehorned subplot that's setting up everything. If there wasn't an MCU and it was just Coogler doing his thing, I think this would have been a well told and tight knit story for sure. So 8.5, 8, 9 around that. What do you got, Lee?
I would say like around 9.
Okay.
Mario?
I'll give it a solid 9 as well.
Nice.
Nice. Very nice. Well,
I
that's
think
our
that's the
review.
first time that we've all been above like an 8.
We've all been really close to each other too.
That is true. I think
Yeah.
that
Like,
might be true.
It's the only time that we've also like sort of agreed.
Yeah.
Like that does not happen
That's
very
going to
often.
change in the next
Never.
segment.